Hey everyone, welcome to 3.4. Sorry 3.3 was so long. I will try my best to keep this one as short as possible. All right, we're looking at the national and state governments and what makes them work and the way they're broken down. We're going to be really looking at the Constitution in this one. I know I said we'd be talking about the checks and balances of power, but for the sake of time, we're just not going to worry about that for now. We'll get to that later. All right. So I found this really cool image, and I thought y'all might like to see it. This is just kind of showing the breakdown from the federal government down to the different governments of the states. Up at the top, you've got like the Constitution, and it is where all law comes from in this nation. All right, right below it, you have the president, and you have the Supreme Court and the Congress, and then all below it, you have all the different states and the governments, and it even shows like the different parts of those governments. They're really kind of blurry, but they're there, and there shows how they're all so connected. And it looks like, I think of like arteries or blood veins like that. It's like a living structure. The idea that government is alive and it's all connected, working together. Again, just appreciate this image for a second. All right, it's appreciated. All right, so going to break down the Constitution into some bite-sized pieces. If you were in person every day, I'd probably make you actually physically read the whole thing and break it down and analyze it and read it. But you're not in person, so we're not. You can actually thank COVID for once. Got to thank it for something. All right, so boop. Article 4. We're going to start and go backwards. Article 4, Section 1. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings for every other state. And the Congress may. Oh, well, it appears my cat has come to join me. Hang on, guys. Sorry, guys, I tried. The cats did not want to be in the video. They made their disdain for that idea known. All right, but back to full faith and credit. Essentially, if you make a law in one state and you say, hey, this person can drive, and you get a driver's license in Indiana, you can drive in any of the other 50 states. You know, you can't, if you drive over into Ohio because you're driving home to Tennessee, like me, and you get pulled over and the officer says, hey, can I see your license? And you're like, I have an Indiana license. And they're like, no license for you. Going to jail. It doesn't work that way. They go, oh, okay. Here's a ticket for speeding. You still can't do that. But your license is still valid. So if you're married in one state, it has to be recognized in another state. Okay? The various states have to recognize the laws of the other states as valid. It's what makes the country work. It'd just be a mess if they didn't. All right. So Article 4, Section 2, like it plays right into the last piece. Essentially, this is extradition. The citizens of each state will be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states, all the states. So if you're charged with a crime, say in Indiana, and you're like, they ain't getting me, and you run across the border to Ohio, and Ohio police pick you up, they're going to pick you up. Indiana's going to give them a call and say, hey, you got our guy. And Ohio's going to go, yep, we'll bring him to you. Where do you want to meet? And they're going to pick you up, and they're going to bring you back, and they're going to give you to them. Those questions asked. The state of Ohio has to recognize that you've committed a crime in Indiana, and they'll make sure you get back to Indiana to face trial under the laws that you broke. All right. It prevents anarchy. It prevents it makes it to where that if you prevent crime, if you do something that's illegal in one state, you can't go to the other states and hide from the law. All the states have to recognize the laws of the other state. Even if something that you do in Indiana that's illegal and Indiana's looking for you and you go to Ohio and it's legal there, Ohio police will still pick you up and return you to Indiana because you broke the law in Indiana. States got to work together. All right, up next. All right, so this section is actually one of my favorites, and I'm probably one of the very few people that will say that just because I'm a nerd. Article 4, Section 3 is where states come from. It's not a stork. Anyway, states can be admitted into the union by Congress, all right? And essentially this sets up that Congress can't divide up other states to make new states. So they can't be like, California, you're too big. You got too many people. We're going to turn you into like 3 states, and we're just going to break it up to Northern, Central, and Southern California. Unless California, the current state, completely agrees with it, and it has to pass there. So they can't be bullied into it by the federal government. Like, it is 100% in the Constitution. It can't happen. Okay. And the last half of this is one of the ones that I find very interesting. And I have my own personal problems with it. And essentially, that is, it says that any territory of the United States is directly under the control of the Congress. Congress can make any rules and laws necessary to regulate a territory. Now you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. It's a U.S. territory. The U.S. government controls it. Well, example, this territory of Puerto Rico is a giant territory in the terms of how many people are there. And they have no representation in Congress because they're not a state. Only states are represented in Congress. However, Congress can control the laws in Puerto Rico, or say the Virgin Islands, or Guam, or Samoa. If these places were to become states, they would have representation and they would no longer be under the direct control of the federal government. It's not like a state where the states can be like, hey, this ain't okay, you can't do that, we're going to make our own laws and we'll fight you in the Supreme Court. This part of the Constitution gives the federal government the power over those territories. So we'll see. There's a possibility that some of those territories could become states in the near future. So I'd be really excited to see that happen in my lifetime. We'll watch closely if there's any news on that. Trust me, you'll hear about it. All right, this part's pretty straightforward. Article 4, Section 4, United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a Republican form of government. This means your state can't have a king or a queen, can't have a dictator. Every state has an elected body that is voted on by the people, that they're representative. Every single state, that is guaranteed. Can't change, period. Well, unless you amend the Constitution. But given that every single state already works under the system, I see that just not happening. All right. I'm actually going to wrap it up for now, guys. I promised you I'd keep it short. We'll look at the other articles of the Constitution next week. We'll start looking probably at the Congress next because it's the biggest. All right, guys. Enjoy your week. I'll see you when I see you. And thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.